I don't usually put trigger warnings on my videos, but if anyone is uncomfortable hearing about self-harm, then please skip this one. Your four favorites are Secretary, The Royal Tenenbaums, Wristcutters, A Love Story, and Labyrinth. This could just be a coincidence, and maybe I only noticed the connection because of Wristcutters, but the title of that movie is something that's depicted in the first three films in your favorites. So I hope that you're okay and that it's just a coincidence, and hopefully it says more about me than it does about you that I even noticed that connection. One of my top choices for you is Everything is Illuminated. It's got a sort of awkward, vulnerable protagonist like Secretary. It's a quirky film about family like The Royal Tenenbaums. It's a black comedy and a road movie like Wristcutters. And it's got a hint of magical realism to it, kind of like Labyrinth. Although I guess Labyrinth is more of a fantasy, I just might be thinking of magical realism because of the song Magic Dance. Another one of my top choices for you is Before I Disappear, which is kind of like Wristcutters if instead of seeing the afterlife, the protagonist's attempt was interrupted by a call from his estranged sister asking him to look after her daughter. Like Secretary, it involves dysfunctional family and balances dark themes with a bit of humor. Like The Royal Tenenbaums, it involves estranged siblings reconnecting. And like Labyrinth, a child is the catalyst for the protagonist's personal growth. I wrote down so many movies that you didn't have marked as watched that felt so perfect for you, and I was really struggling to narrow it down. So I took a break from working on this video and watched a movie instead. And that movie happened to also be one that I think would be perfect for you, and that's Last Life in the Universe. It feels up your alley because it blends together melancholy with a bit of humor, and the protagonist makes numerous attempts to take his life. And there are a couple moments that delve into magical realism or fantasy or surrealism. I kept thinking about music because Wristcutters has a great soundtrack and Labyrinth is a musical, which is why I want to recommend Frank. It's got eccentric characters and music like Labyrinth. Like Secretary, Maggie Gyllenhaal is one of the stars. And like three of your favorites, it's about depression and mental illness. Pump Up the Volume also combines music with those darker themes, and it's a coming-of-age film like Labyrinth. Speaking of coming-of-age films, The Perks of Being a Wallflower also explores a lot of the themes you seem to gravitate towards, and this is another one where music is an important part of the story. Christiana F. is another coming-of-age film that came to mind because the protagonist engages in self-destructive behavior, and like Labyrinth, David Bowie is in it. While I'm on a roll with coming-of-age films, a few more of those that I think you might like are Mysterious Skin, All About Lily Shoo Shoo, The King of Staten Island, On the Edge, and It's Kind of a Funny Story. The Fire Within tackles a lot of the same themes as your favorites, and was an influence on The Royal Tenenbaums to the extent that there's a line in that movie that's a reference to this one. The Piano Teacher is like a much darker version of Secretary because the protagonist has a propensity for self-harm and BDSM. A few other movies that delve into BDSM that I think you might enjoy since you like Secretary are The Duke of Burgundy, Belle de Jour, The Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant, and Baby Girl. I wrote down quite a few films about dysfunctional families since you like The Royal Tenenbaums, but the ones I think you'd like the most because of the vibe of your favorites collectively are The Ice Storm and Ordinary People. The Rules of Attraction comes to mind when I think of Wristcutters: A Love Story, both because of the title and because Shannon Sossamon is in both movies. Since Wristcutters involves a unique depiction of the afterlife, I think you should check out Afterlife, A Matter of Life and Death, and Defending Your Life. Since Wristcutters is also a bit of a romantic comedy, I want to recommend The Apartment. And because most of your favorites explore dark and depressing themes with a bit of humor, I also want to throw in Love Liza, I Hired a Contract Killer, and On the Count of Three. And since you're a fan of Labyrinth, some other fantasy films that you didn't have marked as watched that I think you'd enjoy are The Neverending Story and Pan's Labyrinth.